Two, and this week it's going to be all about how we came up with our son's name and how we announced it to our family and friends. So I've always really enjoyed coming up with baby names. I've always kept a list of baby names on my phone for as long as I can remember, and I've always added to it and taken away from it, and I've always enjoyed going over that list with my partner at the end of every year. We had about, I would say, 6 or 7 great boy names, general boy names. Was I in love with any of them? No. Every time I thought of actually going, okay, this is his name, it was like, that's not his name. Or it was just like, yeah, but I could find a nickname of that name that I really didn't like, or I could always just a feeling about it, or just, I don't know what it was. It just didn't work. I was like, oh, I'm just not feeling it, or it's just not working, or he'll have this nickname, or it doesn't go with our last name, or I just can't picture it, or what if we only end up having like one child? Like, is this going to be the one name out of all the names in the world that I love? It's so, when you actually, like I said, I loved baby names and I loved coming up with names, but when you actually physically have to name a human being an actual name that person is going to have for the rest of their life, yeah, no name just seems good enough. I remember the whole entire way through my pregnancy, we would take up dogs for walks, and we would kind of go back and forth between Pat and I of, do you still like this name? What do you think of this name? And kind of going through all the names. And we went over these, I want to say we had about 5 boys' names. None of them that we really loved, but we liked them. And we went over these names pretty much through my whole entire pregnancy. Just keep going over the same names. And then we'd like go for a drive somewhere and we'd see, I remember we went somewhere, for example, we saw the name Hutch. And we saw it and we thought, you know what, Hutch is actually not a bad name. And that kind of name stuck around for 2 weeks, and then we're like, no, I'm over Hutch. And then we'd have another name come up. So we'd kind of introduce like a new name to our list of 5 names, but ultimately it still came down to our like 5 names that we're kind of going back and forth between. The name that we chose was always kind of at the top of our list. It had a lot of family sentiment. I really wanted a name, I knew the whole entire way through, I wanted a name that was at least 4 letters, and I wanted it to be short, I wanted it to be 1 syllable, I didn't really want it to have a nickname at the time, and I just kind of wanted it to be, I really wanted it to be unique. I didn't want it to be a normal name. But oh my goodness, it is really hard to come up with a name. And every name that we came up with, like I said, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like his name. And the more and more we went over this list, the more I could find something wrong with every single name, or even though they were short and sweet, I could still find nicknames that people would come up with. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, it's not singing. I don't feel like it's the name. I really wanted to love the name, because I'd loved baby names for so many years, and I just found I just didn't love. There was one name I loved, one name I really loved, but everyone else that, we didn't tell anyone what our names were, but if I mentioned a name like, oh yeah, I really like this name, everyone was like, no, don't like it at all. Everyone hated it. My partner liked it, Pat liked it, but nobody else really liked it. And I don't know, like I said, I could always find something wrong with every single name, even if I liked it. And this name, I could still find something wrong with it. So I wasn't like, yeah, that's it. Where I kind of wish looking back now, I wish I was a little bit more confident and being like, I like it, so whatever. But I wasn't. Ultimately, at the end, my whole entire way through my pregnancy, we still hadn't chosen a name, and we still hadn't chosen it, and we still hadn't chosen it. And like I said, we just kept going on these dog walks, or at home, just going back and forth. Like, I swear, oh my goodness, we were going through Google and searching baby names, unique baby names, short baby names, nickname for babies, just everything, right, left and center. And it got to the point where every link, every website said we'd already been to that website before. It was like purple. And it was like 8 pages into Google, and we'd already been to every single site. So it was very hard. I used Pinterest a lot, and I used Instagram, and I used to go to Instagram hashtag like baby names, or what was that? Be baby names or baby boy names, or welcome to the world. I used to go to the hashtag welcome to the world because everyone would have their names, and I would literally just scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll through these names. What I did love about the name that we ultimately chose was I think I must have seen it on those like welcome to the world posts or names I chose for my baby or whatever, name announcements. I must have seen it like once or twice. So we knew it managed to get the uniqueness, I suppose. I knew it was starting to become a little bit more popular, but it was still not insanely popular. It still wasn't one of those trendy names yet. So the name that we chose for my son is Gray. We decided to go with Gray. Like I said, it's gentle, it's short, it was sweet. It had family sentiment to me, obviously being my grandfather's name, and you know, I knew it meant so much to my mum being her dad's name, and the fact that he passed away when she was still young. I knew she'd mentioned it a few times. She'd be like, oh, Gray's such a nice name, but she's never pushed it, but she's always like kind of left it out there. When we actually named him, we literally just, and I kind of looking back, I wish we would have waited until we'd gotten up to the room and I'd turned the camera around, or I had my mum in view of the camera as well. I was so in the moment, which I'm happy about, but I wish I had gotten my mum's reaction as well. She was holding the camera, and I remember saying to Pat, like, we need to name this little guy. We really need to name this little guy. We went in with 2 names. One of them was Cove, and one of them was Gray. And I remember him saying, I'm not sure, what do you feel? And I remember looking at him, and it wasn't anything to do with Gray. It wasn't one of those moments that people are like, oh yeah, when you meet your son, you'll know what his name is. And you'll look at him and you'll just know. It was never one of those things. I feel like I was looking through him. I wasn't really looking at him. It was just that overwhelming feeling of like, I know my mum will love it. I know Pat loves it. I know that I like the name. I know I do love the name. I know that it meets everything that I want. It's short and sweet. No, I didn't sit there and think all of this. It was like a split-second thing, and I was just like, I don't know, like I just feel like it's that. And I think as well because we had 2 names, that I wasn't then looking at a giant list going, oh, which name is it going to be? It was like, is it this or this? And out of those 2 names, I was like, well, it's this. I don't know. I feel like that's what it was. So at the time when Gray was born, my grandmother Rose was 94 years old. Fit as a fiddle. She has always been super duper fit. She's just such an amazing grandma, and Pat gets along with her so well. And I think that's another reason why Pat really loved the name Gray, is because of my grandmother Rose.
You talk, Mum.
Hey, Mum. Do you want to meet your great-grandchild?
Have they got a name for him?
Yes.
What?
Gray.
Oh, yeah. Isn't that nice?
It is.
Oh, lovely.
Made me cry.
When was it born? Oh, I didn't remember. I knew it was in... I thought it was November. Oh, look, great. Lovely.
Show Gray.
Oh, that is great.
He quite often has his eyes open, Mum, right from the time he was born. His
Already?
eyes were wide open, and they're not now, but they were for a long time last night.
Sadly, after that video was taken, 30 days later, my grandmother passed away. It was very sudden. She was fit and healthy, and it just happened, and it just went downhill really fast. I'm so thankful that she was able to know that his name was Gray, that my mum was the person that was able to tell her, and I know she loved it. I talked to her many times after that video was taken, and she idolized Gray. She really thought he was just amazing. And I will absolutely treasure that video. It's one of the last videos of her, and I'm just so thankful that we have it. Also, my name announcement. I knew what I wanted. My whole entire pregnancy, I knew what I wanted and how I wanted to announce his name. I knew that I wanted it to be by this company who I'd found on Instagram. Even years before we were trying to get pregnant, I'd found this company, and I knew that I liked this. Not that I'd seen anyone else doing it, I just really liked the idea. And the company was Namely. It's probably backwards, but Namely is the company. I think it's namely.co. I'm not sure. You might want to, I'll put the link for their company down below. But I found them on Instagram and really, really loved them. I really loved all their pictures. And that was another thing I would do. I would go to their Instagram page, and that because they have baby names on blankets, I would go and I would look at all the names as well and be like, oh yeah, I really like that name. Really loved the idea of putting his name on a blanket and having it across his cot, and being able to announce it that way with the name on the blanket. But I knew that Namely needed at least 4 to 6 weeks to be able to get the order in, put it on the blanket, and then send it back out to you. So we chose, although I've got grey in my hand so I can't really show you, but we went with this blanket here to name Grey with. But yeah, I still love the name Grey, and I couldn't imagine him being anything other than Grey. Hey Grey. Is it yummy? Say bye everyone. Bye guys, we'll see you next time. Don't forget to click that like and subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you can follow up with a little. You got me. It did not work.